أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
In our last week's class, we started the chapter number 2 for Siffat. So it was not, this is just the beginning of the chapter number 2, which deals with the attributes of letters. We have studied the makharij, and then now we are going to study the attributes of Siffat. So, to pronounce a letter correctly, you need to know, first thing is makharij, from where you pronounce it, and second important thing is its attribute, Siffat. So, both things are very important in correct pronunciation of the letter and good reading of the Quran, or best reading of the Quran. So you have to have these two things go together, the makhraj and
Attribute.
Makhraj and attribute. Makhraj and sifat. So both things go together and they are very important in pronouncing the correct makhraj. Now you may also notice and may wonder what you can do to remember those big terms. These sifat are related to Mahmusa and those big names that you will see here. So what is required? If you remember those names, it's best. But if you can't, then there is really not a requirement. You can also mention it that this is pronounced swiftly, this is pronounced thickly, or this is, in your words you can describe the pronunciation. So you don't have to say Mahmusa or Munfatiha, all these names, you don't. If you don't, but if you do, then this is something which is very, very good for you, and you will really benefit from this kind of memorization. So this is these two things that I want to really inform you about at the beginning of this chapter. Sifat. So we have dealt with the pronunciation makhraj. Now we are going to deal with the sifat. What do you understand by sifat? Characteristics. Sifat is, as I said, characteristic, but how you pronounce it. It is pronounced thick, thin, or however you pronounce it is called a sifat. So that sifat is also very important, and it is associated with the makhraj. It goes makhraj, and both of them are goes with. You have a sister. She's not here?
No, Mom will be coming soon.
Oh, okay. These things really very difficult for me to just go back again, and maybe the process of learning attributes. Why should we learn attributes? And why it is so important? What is the secret, and what benefit do you have? Or what mistake do you make if you don't observe Sifat? For example, this is Saif. Saif is pronounced from Saad. Saad is a thick letter. So Saif, Saif, and this is how it should be pronounced, and this is the correct pronunciation of it, and as opposed to very close pronunciation of Saif with Sin. So Saif and Saif both are same pronunciation, but Saif means a season, hot or summer season, as Saif means sword. So this is sword, and that is summer. After other one to read, please. Jazakallah, what was she doing? So, Saif and Saif. One with sword and one with sea. So when you pronounce it, the pronunciation is almost same, unless you are more keen in pronouncing sword as thick and from its own makhraj, as opposed to seen as sharp and whistling sound. So seen and sword have the same makhraj, but they are two different pronunciation. One is thin and sharp, and one is thick and heavy. So that is the difference. That thick and heavy thing and sharp thing is a attribute. It is a Siffat. Sharpness is a Siffat. You understand? Siffat. And thinness or sharpness is also a Siffat, and thickness is also a Siffat. In two examples that is very well explained here. One is Saif. If you don't say it's Saif, then you will end up saying Saif. And the difference in meaning is what? Saif is sword, but as well as the Saif is a summer season. So this is the big difference that you will have if you do not pronounce it correctly. So this is why the Sifat is also very important along with Makhraj. That is Saif and this is Saif. Now, the basic Sifat, some of the letters have basic Sifat, basic attributes. So just remember this. If you want to take a picture of it, this slide, you can do that so that you can have it ready for you. So the specific attributes and basic attributes, they are basic Sifat. The letters have the letters have basic sifat as well as the borrowed sifat. Basic sifat is own sifat, that is own sifat, own quality, but they also have something which is temporary, and that is a acquired sifat. Acquired sifat. So here is that you can see here the basic or conditional qualities associated with sounds of letters are known as their attributes. The letters pronounced from same makhraj as ta, val, ta, and ta. Now you see ta and ta has same sound, same pronunciation, but ta and ta are differentiated by its sifat or attributes. Ta is thin as well, whereas ta is thick, upward. So this is why the sifat is also very important for you to know. Some attributes are essential, lazim and asli, and some are acquired. Here are the sum of the groups: elevated, kha or akh, elevated pronunciation, elevated, elevated, and istifal, depressed, depressed, depressed. So this is how it is differentiated and labeled. So these sifat are also very important for you to pronounce the letters correctly. Some letters change their sifat according to the haraka. According to
Haraka.
haraka. For example, Allah. Allah. How would you pronounce the lam?
First one is thin, second one is thick.
Second one, the lam is jalala.
Yeah.
Thick. Why?
Shadda.
No, because of fatha. Fatha on its preceding letter. Allah. Now, instead of fatha, if there is a kasra before that lam, lillah. Lillah. Lam has kasra. Lillah. Then this lam is also softened. Becomes soft. Lillah. Allah. As well, the alif with fatha has thick pronunciation, but the lam with kasra has a thin pronunciation. So this is the change. Same thing as Ra has. You have not studied the rules of Ra. But when you study the rules of Ra, this is also thick and thin, thick and thin, thick and thin. Fatha, thick, kasra, thin. So this is, you are going to face it, but the changes is in the change in the attribute. The change will be in sifat. All these changes will be in sifat. Rusul. Ra has dhamma, so it is pronounced thick. Okay. Rasul is also thick. Qala Allah, lam jalala, thick. Nasrullah, lam jalala, thick. Why? Nasrullah, why lam jalala, thick?
Because there's dhamma on the ra. There's a dhamma on the ra.
Ra. Preceding letter has dhamma. If the preceding letter has dhamma or fatha, then the lam jalala will be pronounced
Heavy.
thick and heavy. So that is sifat, that is attribute. This is how you are going to pronounce it. So if I'm using too many words, So don't get confused. Are you? No, okay. You are not getting confused, right? Okay, alhamdulillah. So the only haraka makes the pronunciation thick and thin. So Rusul, Ra has Dhamma, so it is thick. Rasul also Ra has Fatha, it is also going to be thick. Allah, Lam Jalala is thick. Nasrullah, Lam Jalala, thick. Bismillah, Tarqiq. Tarqiq comes from Riqat. Riqat means when you have, how do you explain Riqat? Riqat.
Thin.
Huh? Thin. Just say this thin. The thin letter is called tarqiq, or muraqqaq. Muraqqaq is thin letter, and the act of making it thin is called tarqiq. It's called tarqiq, but the letter is going to be muraqqaq, thin letter. Bismillah. Bismillah. What made this lam thin? Kasra. Kasra before lam jalala. Allah. What made the lam jalala thick and heavy?
Fatha.
Fatha. Fatha on the preceding letter. So fatha and kasra and dhamma. Dhamma and fatha both makes the letter lam jalala, lam thick, and kasra makes it thin. So this thick and thin is an attribute. You call it an attribute. So this is why it is all this chapter is about attributes. So when you will pronounce thin and when you pronounce thick. So that's very simple. And don't get confused by the big words. It is very simple, alhamdulillah. These are the things that I have to tell you, I have to show you, I have to teach you all these, but sometimes people think, what complicated subject you are talking about, you are learning. So there is no complication here. So these terms, these names has been used by the phoneticians. The Tajweed expert have used it and they come up with all the definitions and the names of these actions. So don't get nervous and confused by these things, but just write it down and see what you can do and how much you can memorize and how much you can practice. Your practice is important. If you can unable to say this is tarqiq and this is tafkhim, nobody is going to bother you. But when you pronounce it, if you don't pronounce it properly, then of course you are going to be questioned or you are going to be judged by the pronunciation. You are going to have the marks deducted if you don't pronounce it correctly, and you get complete marks if you pronounce it correctly. So this is what it is. So if you are performing right, then your marks will not be affected. But if you really don't, then of course you will suffer. You will of course lose. So these are the basic attributes. There are basic attributes, and each letter has 5 basic attributes. And there are some and they are known by their opposites. They are known by their opposites. For example, one group, the basic attribute is mahmusa. The group is called, the letter group group of letters is called mahmusa, and it means the weak and low sounded letters. Weak and low sounded letters are called
محموسة.
mahmusa. Now, what would be the opposite of it?
Strong.
Strong. So this is very simple. Don't get confused by the names, but you can use your common sense, and you can come to the correct answer. So the first category is mahmusa, and you don't even have to memorize them in the order that I am showing it to you. You can have any order that you want to, but as long as you understand the name and its function and all the names of these attributes, you are okay, you are fine. So the opposite is called majhura. So the mahmusa is a weak and low voiced group of letters. They are called mahmusa, and majhura is their opposite, and they are strong and high voiced. Letters are
Strong and
majhura. So mahmusa and opposite is
مجهورة.
majhura. Number 2 is shadida. By its name you can see that the shadida. Shadida means forceful, with pressure. Shadid. You can remember the shadid. So shadida is forceful, and its opposite is rikhwa, soft. Opposite is rikhwa, soft. Third one is musta'aliya, elevated. Musta'aliya, elevated. Ista'al, elevated. So the pronunciation is musta'aliya, elevated pronunciation. And the opposite is depressed. Mustafila. Mustafila is depressed. So musta'aliya is elevated, and mustafila is its opposite. It is depressed and low. Fourth one is mutbaqa. Fourth one is mutbaqa, and that means closed sound. The mouth is closed when pronouncing it. It is not open as wide to pronounce them. It's called mutbaqa, closed letters, and closed and rounded pronunciation. And its opposite is munfatiha. Munfatiha, open. Munfatiha, open. So opposite of closed, of course, is open. Number 5 is mudliqa, slippery. Mudliqa, slippery. And the opposite is musmita. Musmita. It's sharply pronounced. So these are the basic attributes and their
صفات.
opposites. And their opposites. So either you remember them, memorize them, or understand them. Of course, you have to understand them, but if you memorize all the names, it's better for you. But see what you can do. Try to do your best. And
I have a question.
sure.
No, these words gonna be on the chest.
Every makhraj is coming from its own, whatever is described. This is not a makhraj. This is comprised of all the makhraj. So when we say the makhraj is different than sifat. Makhraj, say, the halq, right? So the makhraj is halaqi, and you pronounce it from your front throat. So that is called makhraj. And if it is sharp or thick, then that is
An attribute.
attribute, sifat. So the difference in makhraj and sifat is the makhraj is from where you pronounce a letter, and the sifat is how you pronounce the letter. From where you pronounce a letter is makhraj. How you pronounce the letter?
Siffat.
Simple. How you pronounce the letter? Sifat. From where you pronounce the letter?
Makhraj.
Makhraj. Very simple. So this, if you and all these names, if you remember it, fine. That will be your best. I mean, you will impress your exam.
My question was, I think this will come under in the test or no?
Sure. Sure. The test will be sure. Because this is part of the curriculum and part of the subject, and this is, and I'm giving you, I'm lenient. I'm saying, well, the not remembering is okay, but for Tajweed teachers and Asatiza, you have to remember all these terms, all these names. As a student of Tajweed, you have to remember all these names and its definition. Names and its definition. So you will understand what category a letter belongs to. So this is very important, and this is basic and opposite. Okay, now the first one, Mahmusa, out of 29, there are 10 letters. 10 letters are called Mahmusa letter, and which are فَحَثَّهُ شَخْصٌ سَكَتَ. They are grouped in this verse. فَحَثَّهُ شَخْصٌ سَكَتَ. If you cannot remember this, you can remember this. Or fa, ha, ta, no, ta, or ta, ha, shin, kha, sod, and sin. These are the letters which are Mahmusa. The opposite of Mahmusa is Majhura. Of course, the low voice is strong and high voice are called Majhura. And they are, now remember this, how many letters do you have in Arabic alphabets? 29. 29. So whatever is in one group, the remaining is in
The other group.
another group. So the 10 is in Mahmusa, so now remaining 19 is in Majhura. The remaining 19 is Majhura letters. So the remaining 19 is Majhura. Easy. Now Shadida, forceful, are 8, which are grouped in Ajid, Khattun, Bakat. Khattun, Bakat, because Ba makes this meaning. Ajid, Khattun, Bakat. So these are 8. Alif, Jim, Dal, Qaf, Qa, Ba, Kaf, Ta. And the remaining 21, out of 29, if you take out 8, then 21. 21 are Rikhwa. Rikhwa. They are softly pronounced. However, the 5 of the remaining letters, Lin, Umar, Lam, Noon, Ain, Mim, Ra, are neither Shadida nor Rikhwa. These letters are not Shadida, not forceful, and not soft. It is in between. So, it is up to you. You can say they are called mutawassit pronunciation. Mutawassit pronunciation. Moderate. You want me to do that? You want to take a picture of it? You did? Okay. It looks like you are having a very tough time, huh? Okay, but if you memorize it, it is better, and you will really have a grip on your subject, on your profession, that you are the Qur'an. If you know the sifat, the attributes, you are going to pronounce, you are going to recite the Quran very beautifully. Now, the other one is musta'liya, elevated, thick and with elevated sound. Musta'liya, elevated sound. They are grouped in khussa, zobdin, qil. Khussa, zobdin, qil. So this is grouped in this combination: kha, sad, dad, ghain, ta, qaf, and va. They are grouped in this, and they are musta'liya, elevated. Their sound, their pronunciation is elevated. Now, the opposite of musta'liya is, of course, it is elevated, so it is going to be depressed. Mustafida.